Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Matri and today I am here with some recommendations for you for this summer. Now I know summers are not really the most pleasant things, especially here in India, but with some good books and some good romance and some good fantasy, we can all get through it, can't we? So that's what I'm here for, 16 books that you can read this summer that are so worth it. And I have divided them into some categories like the books that I'm currently reading, the books that are part of series, the books that are rather intense and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's go. I have all my books over here and my first category is rom-coms, and I have about 5 books over here because rom-coms are the best. The first book that I want to recommend is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I mean, come on, with that name you already know that this is a summer read. This is basically a rivals to lovers story, rivals to friends to lovers. January and Augustus are two rivals. They have been rivals in their college years and they are both aspiring writers. Through some incidents, they both shift to the same place and they are neighbors. They are both facing a writer's block and they both write different genres, and they decide they will write each other's genres. So they hang out with each other, they decide that they will not fall for each other. Each teaches the other of their own genres. The girl's genre is romance, so she teaches him about that, and it's so much fun, such a fun read. You will laugh, cry, everything. It's not too emotional, but it does have depth, and I absolutely loved it. My next recommendation is Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella, the only Sophie Kinsella that I have liked so far. This is basically a story about a workplace romance between a girl and her boss. So she's basically on this plane ride with a complete stranger who she thinks is a complete stranger. The plane is about to crash and she thinks that they are all going to die. And so she spills all her secrets to this guy sitting next to her, who she assumes is a stranger. But he turns out to be her boss who knows all her horrible secrets. And that is essentially the premise of the whole book. He knows all her secrets, they meet, she never thought that she would ever run into him, but she does. And not only that she does, he's also her boss. It is a very fun-filled book. I laughed so much. It might be one of the only few books that have made me laugh out loud, and I love it for that. My next recommendation is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogley. I have already talked so much about it on my channel. You can check out this review. It has everything that you ever need to know. But this is basically a lovers to enemies to lovers romance. So much fun. There is a wedding involved. It is really good. Try it out. My next recommendation is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This was the first book that I ever read by her, and oh my god, I absolutely fell in love with her. I love her writing so much. This is basically a queer romance, and these two girls, they meet on the train. August sees this girl Jane every day on the subway, but after a while it seems suspicious that how is she on the subway every time when August is traveling. So there is also some science fiction aspect to it, and the writing is so lyrical, so beautiful. I have absolutely zero complaints for the book, and at one point I even said that if you read only one book in your life, may it be this one. A perfect queer romance, science fiction aspect, beautiful. My last recommendation in the rom-coms category is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is basically the story of a reader, a writer, and a fangirl. That is also me. But you know, this is basically the story about this girl, Kath, and her sister who goes out to college. Kath is a nerd. She likes this novel series about Baz and Simon, which is called Carry On, which is also an existing novel series that you can read after this. She writes fan fiction about them, and this is basically her going into college, handling life, having some experiences and all of that. It was an okayish read. It was not so good but also not so bad, and for some people it is absolutely their comfort read. My only complaint is that this was rather a long book. This could have been shorter, And the ending was so abrupt for such a long book. There was no perfect closure. I had so many questions by the end of this book, and at the end I was just not satisfied because I feel like that happened so fast and I have so many questions. So yeah, it was such a long book. It could have had a little longer ending, I think. Yeah. My next category is books that I'm currently reading, and there are only two books in that. But the first one is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Like I said, I loved One Last Stop by her, and then I wanted to read so many more books by her. So I picked this one because I have heard so many good things about it. I'm only about 100 pages in, but this is a perfect summer read. The way I'm giggling to myself, I'm smiling the whole time I'm reading this book. This is basically the story of the first son of the US president and the Prince of England. They are both enemies because they are essentially at the same position and they are compared for everything by the press and the audience. But after some events, they are forced to fake their friendship. They are forced to behave like friends in public for some political reasons, and for their parents they are forced to meet up, go to events together, and in that they both get to know each other because they haven't really talked, but because of that comparison they have always thought of the other one as their enemy. They think that the other one doesn't like me, but they get to know each other by those forced meetings, and they realize that that person is not so bad. I mean, that is what I have gathered till now. I am only 100 pages in, and that is where I am. But obviously, they will fall in love with each other. This is such a feel good book. You'll get butterflies reading it. It will make you smile, and I think that's what you need in summer. The second book that I'm currently reading is Another Enemies to Lovers. That is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Oh my god, I did not expect to love this book so much. This is my first book by her, and I'm watching Friends right now, and the main character of this book in the audiobook legit feels like a combination of Monica and Phoebe. I don't know why I feel like that, but oh my god, I'm loving it so much more because of that. The characters are witty, they are funny. It's not just that enemies to lovers romance that you are there for. The banter is actually so good. I am in love with the characters. I'm so attached to them. And to brief you a bit about the premise of the story, Olivia and Ethan, they are both enemies, and Olivia's sister is getting married to Ethan's brother. That's how they met each other. But during the wedding, all of them get food poisoning except Olive and Ethan. So the bride and groom make them take their own honeymoon and go for the trip. So that is basically what happens. They go on this honeymoon together, which is not their own. They talk to each other. Their banter is superior. They are so much fun to read about. I'm loving this book. They find out more about each other. They think that, oh, he's not so bad, she's not so bad, and it's so much fun. It is an absolute perfect summer read, and especially if you are on a vacation, you will absolutely love it. My next category is series, and the first series that I want to recommend is Percy Jackson, which you can see over here, but I am very lazy to pick it up. So Percy Jackson is one of my favorite series of all time. I have made a whole video about it, but this is basically a story that has a lot of Greek mythology. It is basically the premise of the story, all the gods and goddesses. In the first book, the characters are only 12-year-olds and they grow old to be 16, 17, 18. But this book is not just for the children of that age. Even if you are 25, even if you are 40, you can read it. You will have so much fun. This will make you laugh a lot, and it is also being adapted into a series, so make sure that you check it out. The next book series that I want to recommend is the Off-Campus books. Again, I have talked so much about it on this channel. 4 books, 4 hockey romances, amazing chemistry, so much fun, so much banter, so much steam. It's the perfect books to read in summer or any time of the year. I love them so much. And while we are on the series, I might also recommend the Harry Potter series because If you have not read them, you are majorly missing out on one of the best book series ever written out there. This is basically the story about Harry Potter. If you have not read it, you might have watched the movies or heard about it. 7 books, jam-packed with so much fun, so much action, so much friendship, love, adventure, everything that you can ever dream of. Read these books. And the last book series that I want to recommend in this category is the Twilight series. Now, I know what some of your reactions would be, but I really enjoyed reading Twilight. I will not lie. I had my fun reading this book series, and I think a lot of people also do. I mean, it's not such a bad series, and if you're looking for just a light-hearted book series to eat up in summers, this is the perfect book series. You don't have to use your mind a lot. It's just a light-hearted fantasy in romance all mixed together. It's a fun series and you can try it out. The next category is intense romance books. These are not rom-coms, but these have romance as their plots, but they are a little bit on the intense side. And I have 2 books to recommend on this category. The first one is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I recently made a review of the same. This book is basically about Ben and Fallon. They meet on the day that Fallon is moving to New York, which is essentially on the other side of the world. Fallon cannot fall in love before the age of 23. She cannot give him her phone number. There can be no contact, and Ben cannot move with her to New York. So they decide that they will meet on each November 9, same day, same time, same place, and see if they can make it work for 5 years. That is essentially the whole story. Ben decides to fictionalize it, and that is the plot of the story, but there is a major classic Colleen Hoover plot twist at the end, and it will blow your mind, so be prepared for that. The second book on this category is Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks is essentially the king of romance books. I had a Nicholas Sparks phase where I read so many of his books: The Notebook, The Wedding, Dear John, The Last Song, A Walk to Remember, and so on. But Dear John is basically a summer romance itself, so that is why I'm recommending that one. Again, this is intense because it's not just happy steamy stuff. No, it has a lot of depth. I'm not saying that those books lack depth, but these are more on the serious side of things, or on the maybe even tragic or sad side of things, so you might want to keep it in mind. But these are still fun to read. Romances are always fun to read, and I love this book, and you should try it too, a summer romance. My next category is graphic novels, which has only 1 book in it because I have not read any other graphic novels. But this graphic novel is ruling the world right now, and I'm sure you might have already guessed it, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I read them a while back. They are so good. They are basically about Nick and Charlie, who are teenagers, and these books are about their love story, about them discovering their sexualities, so much more. It is beautiful, and it has just come out as a TV series. I'm sure you might have seen it, might have already read it, because it is literally ruling the world right now. Such feel-good series. It will heal you, it will make you feel better, it will feel like a warm hug, and everyone should read it. And the last category is books that are on my TBR pile that feel like perfect summer reads. And the first one is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Even the name suggests that this is absolutely a summer read, and I've heard that it is. From what I know, this is the story about a guy and a girl who have been going on vacations all their lives. This is basically the story of their summers, and then we get to that one summer where they stop talking, and through all the summers we understand what happened that finally led them here, that they are not talking anymore. This is childhood friends to lovers, and I'm so excited to read it. I can't wait. I will probably read it next, and I'm so excited. Also, this is Emily Henry, and she has written Beach Read. I love that book, and I'm sure I'll love it, and I'm sure that I will also love Book Lovers by her, which is a new release which has released just 2 or 3 days back. And coming to the last book that I want to recommend in this video is The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. This is also a series that is being converted into a TV series, and I've just watched its trailer. It's beautiful. I have read some of it, but I never finished the series, so I'm thinking of finally reading the series before the TV series comes out. The Summer I Turned Pretty, the name tells you that this is a summer read. This has love triangle as its trope. There are two boys and a girl, and she spends her summers with them every year. Their family spends it together or something, and she has a crush on one of them, but then this one summer comes and they both are in love with her, and they tell her they've always been in love with her and stuff like that, and I'm very excited to read it. I have read Jenny Han's writing and I think it's incredible, and I'm so excited to read this book. So yeah, those were all my recommendations for this summer, perfect summer reads. I hope you have a good time reading these. Tell me your recommendations for the summer. What have you discovered lately? I would love to know, and I'll see you again very, very soon with another video. All my social medias are linked down below, also with my Amazon wish list in case you want to give me books. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you again very, very soon with another video. Until then, take care, stay safe, and lots of love.